All right. So this is more of this is something I just thought of, but I think it's important to mention. As things get worse and, things get more desperate, I think that you're going to have a lot of aggressive, what we would consider like Zoomers and maybe some younger millennials. And, you're going to have a lot of cantankerous old, Gen Xers and boomers. And, what you have to do, and I think depending on, how old my audience is use a little bit of self-deprecating humor. Just be like, yeah, I'm balding too, or something like that. You say to the older folks, or, oh yeah, man, be careful of them girls, or something like that. You say that to the younger folks. A little bit of self-deprecating humor and just humor in general goes a long way. I think that's important to do. Of course, it's important to be honest. Don't be greedy. Um, don't be a horn dog who's just like, man, I'm gonna smash that girl and whatnot. You don't know who that girl is. You know, I think that's gonna become more and more important. You're gonna have tribalism is definitely going to occur, and loyalties are gonna change. Right now, the broad loyalty is to the federal government and maybe to the state, depending, and to your city. Like I say, these hierarchies are different with each person and different region. You know, and it's going to take you some time to really figure that out. You know, it's like for me, I've just had jobs where it's like I just learned the local stuff around there, but it's a whole different thing when you go around. So you got to have somebody who's there to protect you. You know, I think this is very these are very valuable lessons. As things get worse. I mean, that's my vision. That's my viewpoint. You know, I mean, you can have your views and have your head in the clouds about larger society or whatever, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm forced to have my feet firmly on the ground and think of what I can do today. Being in apartment maintenance for the past couple of months, it's like there's only so much you can do in a day. You know, it's 8 to 5. The first half hour, maybe hour, you spend cleaning up trash around the property, make readies, work orders, balance it out, just different stuff that has to be done. Other stuff is put on the back burner, and it's triage, right? So it's like this apartment we're gonna have to completely redo, put on brand new shit. We're gonna have to redo the walls. We're gonna have to get in the carpet people, whatever, right? Other apartments, a little bit of touch up paint, some new blinds, boom, get that one done, move on to the next one, you know? And so that's an important skill, you know? Because, like I said, it's a job. You don't want to get it fucked up. I mean, that's my part of my problem is that I'll get too zealous about something and I'll just spend all day doing something. It's like one of the first make readies I did was just like, I was like, I'm going to put drywall mud over all these holes. They ain't a big fucking mess. It just powder everywhere. Because once I sanded it down, it's a big fucking mess. And I just learned, I'm like, nah, fuck that. These apartments get changed out like underwear. Put some caulking over it, boom, move on to the next thing. And you learn the general feeling around there. Um, you're polite as you can, but you're firm, and you move on, right? And you know who you can, get a little, you can be a little bit nasty towards, and who you can't be, right? I mean, there's always somebody you got to bitch at, or somebody you can yell at, or something like that, so that you can feel a bit superior. That's usually the way it goes. You know, it's like one of those things of kick the dog and slap the wife or something. Like I say, not literally. I don't promote that, but these are valuable skills as things, start to, break down. Social systems, tend to get smaller. They tend to get more tribalistic. It's not based on race. We're not necessarily. It can be, but I think that sadly the U.S. and the idea of race in this country, uh, you know, has never really been solved ever since the Civil War and even before that. Whether it's the issue of North versus South, Northern versus Southerners. I'm sure LARPing is the Duchy of Burgundy has his own opinions on that. When I heard him on live stream yesterday or last night, but it's a whole different type of thing. And you have to kind of feel it out, right? It's a complex world out there. A lot of complex beefs out there that go back decades, centuries. And you have to kind of wade in there with, on your tippy toes, just kind of walking on eggshells, trying to make sure that you don't put your foot in your mouth and end up getting stomped out, you know? I'd love to try to imagine like, oh man, just traveling around or whatever, but it's like I don't have that luxury. I've got bills to pay and everything else. That's what everybody does. So we stay to our own little worlds. As you get older, that's what you do. You don't fuck around neighborhoods you don't belong, generally speaking. You go where you're used to, and you go where your friends are or people that you're acquainted with. You don't fuck around. It's like with Red Green. Here we go for the Canadian fans out there. For those that know who Red Green is. When you get older, there's only 5 places you need to know. It's like your home, your church, your work, maybe a couple of restaurants, right? And that's just how it goes, you know? It's no different than how it is right now, really. Is it when things collapse, I think about it like this also. Another example. Reading about, it's on my shelf right now, In Deadly Combat. Remember that book where they were talking about the death of Hitler and they're just like, we don't give a fuck. Because it's like they're trapped in the pocket in the Baltics. I can't even think of the name of it right now. But and eventually they surrendered, a couple of days after the official end of the war. You know, but they didn't care. It's just like, well, we do what we got to do, right? And you move on. When this country falls or when the state government falls, whatever, it's like people can be like, okay, how am I going to get fed today? How am I going to pay? It's like, are people that want my money, that I owe money to, are they going to come after me or whatever, right? People think of the more immediate concerns. They don't care about the larger issues. So like I say, you have to have your head firmly, down, looking at the issues right in front of you, and your feet firmly placed on the ground. And that's important. Anyway, I think that's all I got. See you later. Goodbye.